it is.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the podcast for the recently deceased, season
10.
season 2, episode 10. Um
Uh,
how we doing, Rod?
oh, hey Nate. I'm Rod's doing good.
Yeah.
Rod is wise. Rod is good.
All right. So tonight we're going to talk about
Twister reference.
Smile. Uh Written and directed by Parker Finn, his first feature, and
Feature
I,
length
you gotta,
directorial
yeah, you gotta
debut.
say that, man. He definitely knocked it out of the park. For what we're not gonna gush about
I
the
was laughing
movie.
because that was his
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, but
Well, they're not
this
gonna.
film has
For your first film, it's
smashed.
fantastic, right?
Well, hey, look, I mean, of course. But yeah, coming out of the weekend, going up against the Billy Eichner's rom com Bros, and it smashed it, but not in the way that bros want to be smashed.
That's true.
Uh, and so yeah, it had a what did I say, 17 mil budge,
Yep.
and it hit 39.3 out of the weekend. So just fantastic. Horror is an alive and thriving genre. So yeah, let's get into Smile. Smile for me, I thought Smile was um, well trodden territory. The story I think was something was not I was not expecting any surprises, and I think it executed everything uh, well. Sometimes very well, but then there was other times where the way that the plot was going to progress was a little bit predictable or not engaging. I was like, okay, but the visuals and other parts made up for it. So and I don't think that there was high highs or low lows. I think it was sort of just really middling throughout most of the film. But then there was a couple peaks, but just not many. So for me, it was an overall very enjoyable movie and just well executed.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think they definitely lead on the jump scares, of which I think I counted 15 or 14 if you don't count the smash cuts. There were two smash cuts I didn't count and one smash cut that I did. So it's
Mm-hmm.
14 or 15 jump scares. It's subjective anyway. Uh, the movie only got me twice though. So, but I'm definitely thinking to myself, I've seen this movie before, right? Fallen, It Follows, Drag Me to Hell, even
The
in
Ring.
in the yeah in the protagonist. So one thing about Smile, I thought we might see more like Fallen, it tag a couple people through the movie. And instead it's more like Drag Me to Hell, where it's the main character is this woman and she is just trying to unravel the mystery the entire
How do
time,
I
right?
escape? It
Yeah,
follows. Like,
yeah.
yeah, that's for me. That's what made it like so. That took me out of it in a sense that's like there's nothing really new here. And I'm sorry, I don't think that saying or showing the origin of trauma as being like a trigger or a relevancy, like there wasn't a lot of trauma there. And but anyway, at any rate, finish up. How
So for me, the movie was very enjoyable. It definitely, despite these things, it still did what it did well. The best way to describe it is they took an okay movie and they made it good. Like they, by choosing the scene, setting the scene the way they did, by choosing the camera angles they did, the music, the acting, like bringing it all together, they took this okay script, this okay idea, and they made a good movie out of it. They're not going to win any awards, but I'm going to watch it a second time, and that's more than I can say for like half the movies we review on this channel.
Sure, I think that that's fair. I think that the way the movie that came out this year that I would say it most closely mirrors and as far as tone and execution, or as far as what you would go in and what you come out with, would be like The Black Phone, where it was just a good, solid movie in what it was trying to do. It did it all very well, and it does have rewatchability, but it's not like it's breaking down barriers with any
Yeah,
kind of a genre type thing.
no new ground, very entertaining. And can't say much more without the spoilers. So here come the scores. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
I'm a bit cooler because I wasn't really impressed. So I'm at a 5. I could be convinced to kind of lean towards a 6, but for me it was just neutral. And some of the things that it is just redoing don't they balance out the scales. Like the
Sure.
cool things that it's doing, the things that it's not doing or redoing that's just like been done a million times, it levels it out for me at a 5. And I'm leaning up, but not by much. So
I
5 for
I
me.
I came into to this at a 6, but I've already gone up to a 7, which is why I said that I wish I had like another day to like mull it over. All
Yeah.
right,
You're coming
so
off seeing this very, very fresh.
exactly, exactly. So, right, so I also have like the theater high still going, right? When you come
Yeah,
out of the theater and you're like, "Man, Phantom Menace was the best Star Wars I've ever seen," and then a week later you're like,
I know.
"What the fuck was that shit?" I
I
remember,
know.
I
Every
remember
single one.
loving
I know.
every single one of those Star Wars movies walking out of the theater, and within like
Yeah.
5 days, I'm like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen."
It was so weird.
So the 7 might still be theater high. Because I had a handful of people, not a lot, but everyone was kind of whispering to each other, and you could kind of hear what they were saying. And my crew we were talking to each other, and it definitely wasn't taking away from the movie. It gave it a little bit more of like a group or party atmosphere, and I
Hmm.
think helped it along. All right, so we're moving on to the spoiler discussion section of the episode. If you have not seen Smile, go watch it and come back, unless you don't care about all the things we're
Yeah.
going to say.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so let's start with those obvious tropes that we didn't like, and then we'll talk about the stuff
Do you want to do you
did
want to
like.
read the synopsis real quick, or
Oh yeah,
no?
yeah,
Are,
yeah.
are we
I can
off
do
of
it.
that?
I can do it. I have it up. Let me just change the. There we go. Smile. After witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. Rose must confront her troubled past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality.
Yeah, that's fine. But it references the thing that it wants to hang its hat on, this idea of trauma, the fact that she comes from a family where her mother committed suicide, and she didn't really help or didn't intervene or didn't save her or whatever. She's got issues with it, and maybe that's what led her into being a therapist, working with patients in a sort of a psych ward esque emergency treatment center.
Yeah.
Um, but it doesn't really inform why now she is around this entity thing that happens. It doesn't give more weight to it because all the people that are impacted by that, their trauma is having just seen that
Right,
trauma.
right, right.
So it's not past trauma that people haven't resolved. It's a
Yeah,
really fresh thing that just happened, and now it's just a monster. So you can't say this
yeah,
mother suicide thing has relevance. I know it opens with that. The film opens with that,
yeah.
but it's tacked on. That's not relevant.
Exactly. In fact, I think it's the worst part of the film is the fact that it even exists.
It's
Um,
unnecessary.
it's completely unnecessary. Like we know that this monster needs a traumatic event to latch, right? So that's why they always kill themselves in front of a person and they latch to that next person. Um, so we don't need any past trauma, just like you said. The fact that it's there is completely unnecessary. The fact that they're even telling us about it, we don't need to know as a viewer. We get that she saw her patient kill herself and now it's attached to her. We don't need anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that the only thing that you can give 'em a little bit of allowance for is that they're trying to use it as a tool or a means to give the other characters that she's interacting with a bit more reason to question her sanity and what she's going through as being legitimate or not, because she's been down roads before with having
Right.
unresolved issues with it. So it does inform some of their skepticism
Sure.
with how she's acting now, but that is also part of the film in a film like this that you kind of don't need to give much of a shit about. You can kind of glaze over that and
Yeah.
just let someone be like annoyed, like, oh, well, why is everyone like this to her? And, you know,
Yeah.
so I understand it, but I still feel the way I feel. It's not necessary.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So what else was just a little too much or not enough?
For me, it's just the for one, I saw the trailer and it's frustrating. You see the trailer and the trailer ruins several of the scares. The
Right.
jump scares, which I thought were not that frequent. 15, I didn't count. I kind of like probed you
Yeah.
to like pay
There
more attention because I wanted to know.
there were a lot.
Uh and some of them I thought were not very well earned. They're just annoying cheap ones, like the flash screen of the one person's face, after the thing that happened. Like it was a quick cut.
Yeah.
That's cheap. The cranking the volume on someone's phone so that it abuses my ears isn't a fair scare. It's not scary. Like you turn like that's not how loud a phone is. Same
Yeah.
with like the like that's an annoying one where it's like
There were
it's
yeah.
not that I'm scared with something that's happening. You're just crank the volume and I can't hear myself think now.
Yeah.
So it was just knowing for the film the pattern of what would probably be happening. Um and because you could figure out as a viewer this 4 to 7 day thing, the first thing that's annoying, and it you don't have to be, this is maybe me just being over critical of it, but it's like, oh, so no one investigating any of these suicides bothered to look at the past 7 days of their life and see that there was another suicide that they're around. And then what about that person? Oh,
Yeah.
they saw a suicide just a little bit. And then that person, and like,
The the
what?
ch- the chain
No
as
one bothered
yeah.
to look into this. And she has a detective friend. He's like, huh, that's funny. What? You didn't do your fucking job?
I
That's
ca
what's funny?
I
Okay.
I did some more digging and I found out that this goes all
Yeah.
and it's like okay, you would have already figured that out. Yes,
Yeah. So like
the
that.
chain as they called it was a little weak.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like the funny thing of it too, because it's like, how could something like this exist in real life and no one ever catches on that this is a thing? Like
Right.
there's a path of destruction, whether it's It Follows with sexually transmitted fucking disease of killing a ton of people because it's so much easier to get killed by that thing. I think, uh, or The Ring where you're watching a videotape and then you die. That's more innocuous and can hide in the shadows. But this one is just so out in the front. Like, how is this not like been handled or resolved
Yeah.
before? I'm glad the one dude like figured it out. He's like, yeah, just fucking kill someone.
Yeah, just kill
And I'm like
someone
frustrated that
in
she
front of
didn't
someone else.
go kill someone. Yeah,
Yeah,
go find a homeless person and kill the homeless person.
in front of
Like,
another
and have
homeless
another
person
homeless person. Yeah,
and
that's
run
why not?
away.
Go find two crackhead, meth head people.
Yeah.
There's a ton in
There's
every city
yeah.
or small town, and it's like, up, open shut case, Johnson. I'm fine.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that and okay, so here's one of my complaints. The daydreams. We talked about it for a bit. Like, I personally like through watching the movie, I enjoyed the daydream sequences, but I wish they weren't daydreams. Like, I kind of wanted them to happen, and when it snaps back and you're like, oh, okay, that was a hallucination or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
you
there goes
you
gravity.
yeah, you get it when it's when the monster's involved. But the one when she's in her car, where she kills the crazy guy and her boss sees it, that like could have happened, and that one didn't make sense to be a hallucination because the monster was not involved there. but the monster was involved with her other ones because it was her hallucinating the monster taking a form and like attacking her in her office or in her
Mm,
home or whatever. So that all made
yeah.
sense. But this one weird hallucination where she stabs, I think Chris was his name, the one who was always rambling. Um, and you're like, oh, she's doing it. She's gonna kill the guy and it's gonna latch to her boss. Great. Like, let's see what
Hmm.
happens next. So that is linked to my next complaint, which is the um, how it took a form like Drag Me to Hell, where we have this one character who's afflicted um, by this menace through the entire film, and we don't get to see it jump. We don't get to see it jump around, which is fine. Like for the most part, it's fine. Like okay, you have one protagonist, and we're gonna be
You
stuck
don't
with
like just
her.
seeing it through the exposition with like the found footage and stuff like you see in the one guy do it. Like that's not enough. Like seeing the other events or hearing about it from like the wife of the one guy talking about it. Like
Yeah,
that's not
no,
enough.
no, no. I liked all. Like I said, I enjoyed the movie.
No,
I
but
liked
what
all
I'm
that
saying, like,
stuff.
what about it? You wish you would have seen like an entity or a thing physically like manifest in some kind of way.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay with the way it happened too. I just wish she would have died, and maybe it went to the husband or the fiance, who was played by the guy who plays A Train in Du Bois, right? And then and then he dies, and it goes to someone else. Like I could have seen
Sure,
a little bit
but
a little bit more of it, or she, or
yeah,
if
but
she
like
if she was
yeah, it's just so
last,
tough
like
because
maybe her boss gets it first in the thing, and then she gets it from the boss. Like, maybe give me one more link before it gets to her.
yeah, I
You
mean I
know,
understand that, but it's just you
because
got to
as
have
you
like a
there,
lead, and I guess as a view for viewers, like viewers can get disconnected or disengaged when it's like, well, who do I care about? And if
right.
it's not clear, that's a delicate line to walk, I think.
Well, that's why
And
if you
so
did the boss, it would make sense because then
yeah.
you could keep doing her exposition while it's happening to the boss. It's like the B plot, and then it comes to her and
Hmm.
becomes the A plot. I, I don't know. I'm just saying that there weren't enough characters. There could have been a bigger body count. There might have been too much exposition, especially with the mother's background story. We're just talking about the bad stuff right now. So I'm just
Yeah. Um yeah, I think that's pretty much it, like it as far as
I think that's
the
it.
downsides. Yeah. Yeah, for me it is.
Yeah. So if we go to the good stuff, um, man, I'm gonna start with the monster. Holy shit.
Yeah, the finish.
Yeah, I fucking loved this thing. No CG. I mean, I guess like
Well, obviously some CG.
enhanced with CG while it was like moving and
They
had its
didn't
skin
have
on.
fucking Andy Serkis in a goddamn motion capture suit to
Yeah,
walk
yeah,
around
yeah.
this house. That was all CG,
Still
but it
looked
did
good.
look good.
Still look good.
Uh,
But when it
like an
takes
old,
its
like
when it takes its
long,
face
lanky woman
off,
in weird briefs. Yeah, the reveal of how it's like going to consume or enter the other, its host, its new host. It was pretty impressive.
yeah,
It was vividly shocking and stunning to look at. It was out of nowhere because the film was very neutral with all of its visuals, just like some graphicness with how the deaths were occurring. And
yeah.
and it kind of had like the happening vibe where it's like, oh, what crazy way is someone going to kill themselves now? And so I was like, yep, M. Night Shyamalan's already done this in a lot of ways. Uh, or like there were some people chuckling with certain things in my theater because like people have this nervous laughter thing and it can be annoying in certain movies. So yeah, I think that the way that it looked at the end, it was like a complete tonal shift from how it presented to most of the movie, where it's like, oh my god, you really
Yeah,
went all out on. Worked very well.
yeah. That when it tears its face off and you see like this bloody skull, the eyes, the no, nasal cavity, then you get the top lip, and then it's just bottom teeth, bottom teeth, bottom teeth, bottom
Yeah,
teeth,
like
bottom
a
teeth, and this
shark.
huge jaw, right? Oh man,
Yeah.
it looked
Well,
fantastic.
and if you think back to the first victim that we see in her office, and she's like launches herself to the floor because she sees that creature in the room with her. So you can think back about how people react when, like, when this girl reacted when she saw it, and it starts to make sense. Um, a quick point that I just thought of that I'll include with the negative, real quick. This is like this thing lasts 4 to 7 days, and one of the characters was like that guy uh, with the hammer that killed himself in front of this girl that we see at the beginning,
Yeah.
and like his office is littered with all these drawings of the fucking creature. I'm like, okay, this dude works pretty fast. This looks more than 4 to 7 days of anguishing because with the way that our character is reacting, they're not scrawling drawings of the creature. They're kind of just going through other shit like a
Yeah.
normal person would.
Yeah.
So a little bit like, okay, this is looks neat, but this doesn't really make sense. But
Right.
okay, have fun, go for it. Um, so yeah, the ending visual was awesome in the way that it wraps up in that cabin,
Yeah.
and how the events unfold with her thinking that she's doing it, but then it's a trick, and how it actually resolves with the ex boyfriend is a satisfying conclusion to the story.
Yeah, when she runs out of that front door or that door and it turns out she's still in the cabin, that was nice. Like that was an excellent scene, a nice twist, a nice turn. I really enjoyed that. Um, all right, what else was good? Oh, I did like that the villain wins. So I'm a big fan of that, right? So
Yeah,
it would
that
have
it's
latched
just
on to
yep.
the cop,
Hmm. And it'll just
which
continue on.
I believe Fallen the villain won. Drag Me to Hell the villain wins.
Hmm.
So like this, so I mean like they didn't even change like that aspect of this type of story. They kind of just went with
Yeah,
the status quo.
it continues on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in the ring she solves the pain of the creature that's doing this, doesn't she?
I
In at least yeah.
haven't seen it since it came out, and I
Yeah,
am
yeah, yeah, yeah.
fairly certain that the good guys win in the ring.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, I think I remember I'm pretty sure it's Naomi Watts, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
she's sort of like the queen of remakes, and it's funny because I just watched the remake of Good Night Mommy. I can't remember if we talked about it on the stream or not, but yeah, it is awful. Um so I liked for me the scene the scenes with her therapist, I thought were good, and but most importantly, and most entertaining scene for me was the child's birthday party,
Oh yeah,
and the lead up to that. And
that was
yet
an
another film that
excellent.
we're discussing with another cat that meets its fate in the course of the runtime, and it was so great because I knew you knew it was gonna be the cat.
Yeah, yeah,
This the second like she's there and like there's like oh it's gonna show the kid opening the present, and you already know she's like mustache, mustache, where's
yeah,
mustache? And oh, also side note, I don't know if you noticed this, but she's feeding mustache wet food
yeah,
because she cracks it open. She's
yeah.
like, and like the dude's kissing her. Like I'm like, dude, you're not gonna kiss your fucking wife whenever that wet food can is open and she's like right there. That stuff reeks. You're not gonna want to like neck on her for a minute because you're gonna want to fucking run. Anyways, I've been there. Uh, she's doing wet food, but then like whenever she goes outside to like find them, she has dry in the bowl because she's like mustache,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, okay, you didn't have wet food in it or dry food in it before, but maybe you changed it in the sound of the dry food does entice the cat. So I was kind of like, I can understand it, but I don't know if this is a gaff or not because there is logic to it. But that whole scene with the cat was wonderful and the
Yeah,
reveal at the party because her reaction was
yeah,
hilarious. It was so over the top where she's like, I'm not crazy.
yeah. Sometimes
Someone put it in there. It
someone put it
wasn't
there.
me.
I didn't wrap that. Like, well,
I did not do that.
plus the trauma of finding her cat dead. Like, so she's doing
Yeah.
two things. She's doing two things at once. Like, her cat's dead, and her nephew just opened it as a birthday present.
But kudos on that kid. He still grabbed it. He was like,
Yeah.
he's
He's
like,
like,
show mommy what you got.
this
He's
is
like,
my
I
present.
got this for the kid. And then her falling through the glass coffee table was excellent, and slicing
Yeah.
her wrists open like that. She
Yeah.
does and for that scene for me was great, and then just seeing how now from that point on, really, she looks so disheveled. So
Oh
Sosie
yeah.
Bacon does a great job of conveying a woman in emotional distress and
Oh
trauma.
yeah.
She does play the part very well. There's no shortcomings with any of the acting in this movie. Everyone
Oh
is
yeah.
doing what they need to do very well.
She outacts her father in this movie in every single one of his movies. Like
Oof.
Kevin Bacon's on the level of like Kevin Costner as like a guy who just talks in front of a camera and doesn't really act. And this and Sosie Bacon crushes her father, and in talent right out of the gate.
Yeah. So the other awesome thing that we're gonna mention with this film that it did well is the marketing. It killed
Yes.
marketing. It had people at um, sporting events, mostly MLB games, behind
Yes.
the home plate or at different shots where they would just look right at the camera in the outfield and just do the smile and wearing a shirt that just said smile.
Yeah.
Just paying actors like, hey, you can go to this game. You're just gonna sit there and you're gonna fucking have a weird smile.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's great. The marketing behind it was genius. It was reminiscent of the Blair Witch Project when they leaked this like fake documentary, but it was actually real kind of
Hmm.
story, and the news media went with it. The news media was doing the marketing for them, telling people that this was a true story. And I went opening day to the Blair Witch Project and believed the entire film was real. And
Uh-huh.
I walked out of that theater more scared than I've ever been in my entire life.
It was great. Yeah, that's like I remember that's one of the few horror movies that I remember seeing in a very full theater. Obviously, last year's Halloween Kills was a full theater. That was a full theater. I anticipate when we see Halloween Ends in another week that it's going to be a full theater.
Yep. Oh yeah, Halloween ends on my big 40 birthday.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah, man. So Smile, yeah, just overall
yeah.
solid, good movie.
Yeah. I don't know. Any final comments, final thoughts? I will say that I wish, okay, so the girl who was the poster for Smile,
Hmm.
she's in the movie for 3 minutes. And
Right.
I really thought that she was the protagonist going into the movie. And,
Well,
you know,
this is because you didn't see the trailer or you saw the trailer
yes.
and you forgot. I feel like you probably didn't see it because it is very clear like she is
She
she kills
yeah,
herself in the beginning of the movie because
yeah,
this is the trailer where it's just like pray for the devil. They show you the
everything.
movie. And they ruin
Oh,
a couple of the jump scares. The really cool jump
yeah.
scare with the fucking pink sweater head is ruined in the
That was
trailer.
probably my favorite jump scare and a cool ass effect. They did it. It was awesome. It looked
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah, she was a great actress, but yeah, she
yeah. It's too bad we didn't see more of her. Um, wow. Yeah. What else was there? There was something good. A Train was funny. It was nice to see A Train in
yeah, he
something
was
that
good.
wasn't The Boys.
Rose, did you kill Mustache? He was just so incredulous.
Yeah,
But it was
that
great too
was
because
so
like by
good.
the end of it, like they're engaged, like and by the end before the end of the movie, he's more or less like saying like, yeah, I'm not fucking all about this. Like
Yeah.
this isn't going to continue.
Yeah.
We're breaking up.
Yeah.
Like and
Yeah.
that's great to see
We're
because usually, you don't get to
yeah.
see that.
We're
But that's very
engaged. Yeah,
clear
but
what's going to happen.
we're engaged. But you're crazy.
Yeah. It's like
If you're
and
insane,
he's sitting in a car and he's like just like looking left and right. He's like, "Are you trying to tell me ghosts?" There's a ghost following you?
ghosts.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
great. Like he plays a really good like doubting Thomas type character where he wants to believe you, but he's like,
Uh, I don't know.
everything you're
Yeah.
doing, and then he gets the therapist to come. I'm like, oh, not good call, dude.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
rough. She is a therapist, and you called her therapist. That's fucked up.
Yeah, that was bad, that ambush. And then I actually liked the monster taking over or taking the therapist's image in that one scene, and then
Yeah.
she gets a call
Where
from the therapist during the meetup.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a
It
good one.
climbs over the
She climbs
couch and
over
it's
the
just like
couch. Yeah.
keeping focus. Yeah.
Oh, that
It
was
was
actually also a really cool. She pulls her close, and the big smile, her teeth, like her mouth is open, her teeth are out, and like this this drool and spit just like
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
pouring out of
Yeah.
her.
It was like Alien
Yeah,
almost.
yeah, it was nice.
It was Sigourney Weaver Alien shot there.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's just a
All
solid
right.
film. I would recommend it. I don't want to like exaggerate how great it is. It's fun and it's good. I'm sure teens love it. I think adults can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think regular horror fans and I think horror cinephile type fans will get something out of it. But it's not you know um, it's not a upper tier type movie. It's not trying to be. It's not pretending to be. It's just good,
Yeah.
solid, middle of the road movie. That's popcorn horror film, and it's great.
Yep.
You need plenty of those.
I will definitely watch it again. I will buy the Blu-ray when it's in the bargain bin. I will not get it when it first comes out. And
No, wait for it to go at
yeah,
FYE with like buy
yeah,
two get one free type thing
absolutely. All right.
used.
I gave it a 7.
I had 5. I'm still gonna stick with the 5.
Stick with a 5. All right, and that is Smile and episode 10 for the podcast for the recently deceased. I'm Nate Roberts,
I'm Rodney Godek. Take care.
and we'll see you next week.